All right, welcome back to Central Valley Buzz, everybody. I'm your host, Chuck Leonard. You hear the music, you know where we're going. We're going to Old Town Mariposa. Let's bring in my good buddy, Bob Borchard for Best Gold Coin. Bob, how are you doing, sir?
Absolutely awesome, Chuck.
Now,
Wait. Can we talk about the baby?
Yeah, we could talk about the baby.
How's the baby doing?
The baby's doing great. She and Kim are home right now, and I just feel like the luckiest man in the world.
Good.
Who'd you bring with you today, Bob?
I brought a very important, influential person in our community, Debbie Croft.
Debbie, I know Debbie. How are you?
You know everybody.
Debbie from Merced Sun Star.
Yes.
How long have you been with them?
It'll be 7 years the beginning of next month.
Now, did you grow up in Merced?
No.
Where'd you-
Air Force. My dad was in the Air Force.
So you bounced around a little bit.
Yes.
What were some of the places that you lived?
Virginia, Florida, South Carolina, Germany twice, and then we retired in Arizona.
Wow. Now, what was your path to Merced?
Through a mutual friend, I met a columnist with the Sun Star, and she suggested that I write professionally, so she got me connected to her editors.
So you hadn't worked for a newspaper before that?
No.
Well, that's kind of lucky, isn't it?
Yes, very.
I mean, you don't
fortunate.
talk. A lot of people, their goal in life is, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to learn to be a journalist. I'm going to go work for a newspaper. But so tell me what you were doing prior to the newspaper job.
I'm a pastor's wife, and I've written ladies' newsletters for a lot of years. And so then this columnist at the Merced Sun Star had read some of what I'd written, so it just went around that way.
Wow.
The interesting thing about Debbie is that she has a fresh set of eyes, and she sees Mariposa like people from the rest of the world see us. And she writes about our community. She writes about the people in our community, does profiles. She did a column on this show. Did you know that?
I know she did. And when I saw this, I go, wait a minute. Does this lady have the greatest job or what? Now, let me get this straight. You get to write about all the different mountain communities in the area?
Right. Across the Sierra from about Oakhurst to Sonora and Columbia, and then sometimes up further north.
Wow. I mean, you gotta feel like you're pretty lucky yourself, huh?
Yes,
I
very
mean,
blessed.
here you are in God's country, going around from town to town, learning all this great stuff about the motherlode.
Yes, I write about the history, the people, the events, whatever's new, whatever's going on. Sometimes I write about the challenges of country life because I did grow up on Air Force bases and in the city, and I had to learn some things when I moved to the country.
I bet. Now tell me about the misfortune that you had to meet Bob. What?
Well, he's one of my readers, so he sees my column from a different perspective. He sees the image that I'm portraying of Mariposa and the foothills communities, and I see my column as connecting the mountain towns to the valley readers and trying to draw them up to us.
Okay, so I think this would be interesting. Why don't you give us your take on Mariposa?
Yes.
Oh, my.
We caught her off guard.
You did.
That's not on the script, you know that.
It's a very warm and caring community, and there are a lot of professionals there. I got to watch calves being branded, so I have a huge respect for the ranchers. I don't want to be a rancher. I don't like dirt or bugs or animals and stuff like that in general. But I do respect the people who live up there and work the land, and they just get engrossed by everything that's going on up there.
You know, there's an incident that just happened, and folks down in the valley have heard all about this by now, but yesterday we had a gathering. The whole community showed up on the side of the road to say farewell to a firefighter who didn't make it. in a recent fire. Last week, remember, we were talking about fire, and I think and we were talking about that on the way up here. This community comes to. You wouldn't go to Fresno and see the whole town show up on the side of the road spontaneously to say goodbye to a firefighter who wasn't even a resident of Mariposa, but who was in Mariposa County doing a difficult
Protecting
job.
Mariposa.
Right.
So when you talk about the flavor and the community, the perceptions of it, the job that Debbie has is really important to communicate our community culture. It's kind of unique. Country, back home, country, neighborly, and that's a real challenge. Debbie was telling me how when she first got to Mariposa, how it was difficult to fit in. A city girl. We don't have Macy's. And we have to drive 45 miles one way to go to a movie theater. Okay, so it's an hour and a half drive to go see a movie. When she was talking about lighting a fire, most
And the wood
people
stove.
most people in our country have wood stoves, and the men and the women have to know how to stoke up the fire and keep warm and toasty. Then, of course, we could talk about the critters, wildlife, and the deer in the garden and that sort of thing. But at any rate,
So you get to go to all these different locations. Do you get to pick them, or does your editor send you out?
I do.
So I guess what my point is this, is you have a lot of people that want to tell you their story.
Yes.
But when you
Yeah.
go into Mariposa, and I can vouch for this because I have felt it before, they don't have to tell you the story there. It's
Right.
like you feel it.
Yeah.
And you can tell that everybody's in it together.
Right.
And when you say it's old feel, well, it is an old feel, and yes, it does look like the Mother Lode, and it does look like an old Western movie, but it's the people. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, you have beautiful country. You have the beautiful Highway 140 leading up to Yosemite with all these beautiful killer historical buildings, but it's the people
Right.
that I thought, well, wow.
Well-
This is a place one day I want to live because I want to be a part of this.
one of the things we talked about on the way up here today, the good side, the upside, the downside of Mariposa. The good side, upside, is that we all have neighbors and we're close to our neighbors. We get really involved in the neighbors and they get really involved with us. And the downside of Mariposa is that we are really close with our neighbors.
And people hold grudges.
Yeah.
So it depends on your attitude and approach to life. We were also talking about how men tend to adapt to Mariposa lifestyle readily. For women, it tends to be a little more of a challenge, but particularly if you have a more urban background.
So what's next for you, Debbie? What's the next community you're going into?
I'm in my column.
Yeah.
I wrote about, well, for Saturday's column, I wrote about the Pumpkin Patch in Merced. There's one in Jersey-Dale. There's a fall festival in Oakhurst. And
always
then
something going on in Mariposa,
yeah,
isn't there?
There's
Yeah.
Mariposa Symphony Orchestra.
Nice.
The MSO, their concert.
You
coming
know,
up.
I tell these people all the time. Now, you've lived in a lot of different places. I tell the Mariposa, I go, you guys use your fairgrounds more than any other
Oh,
town
yeah.
I've ever seen in my whole life, and
Yeah.
I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, we do. There's something going on there, a lot.
Yes.
All right. Well, Debbie, I want to thank you for coming by and being a part of the buzz and a part of
Thank
the
you.
Old Town Mariposa. Really great to see you. Now, Mike's got some pictures we want to show real quick here. Though that's Inspiring Generations. What is this?
That's a book that Yosemite put out earlier this year because of the 150th anniversary of the grant, and my submission was accepted. They have 150 stories about Yosemite from all sorts of people who either work there or lived there or visited, and so I have a story in there. My daughter has a story in there,
Nice.
so that was fun.
Okay.
Blog.
Well, you also write on a blog, right?
Yes, I have a blog, debbiecroft.wordpress.com, and sometimes I write about country life, sometimes inspiration for women, sometimes about writing and blogging, and that's where people can read a different side of what I write.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but not any commercial break.
No.
This commercial break, we're going to stay in Mariposa and show you guys about some of the fun you can have up there. But in the next segment, we're coming back with more Mariposa, aren't we?
We are, and I have a special treat for you today.
Okay, well, stick around, watch these Mariposa commercials, and we'll be right back. We'll still be in Old Town Mariposa. Stick around.